This is an NBC5 News special report.
And we interrupt scheduled programming now for the procession of a slain Chicago police officer, Luis Huesca. Today would have been his 31st birthday, but he was shot to death during a carjacking on his way home from work Sunday night. Now his remains are being moved from the medical examiner's office to a funeral home in Oak Lawn. And we want to go now to Mike Lorber, who is in Sky 5 watching this procession as it happens. Mike.
Kate, this will be the first of a few processions for fallen officer Luis Huesca, who just would have turned 31 years old just a few days ago. About a dozen squads, maybe more, are here. You can see the ambulance that's carrying the remains of Officer Huesca now traveling westbound on Harrison, and will make a long travel on Western Avenue going southbound from Harrison all the way down through the city's south side, eventually down through the Beverly and Evergreen Park area to 103rd Street, then traveling west on 103rd to Blake Lamb Funeral Home. This is a route that's been used before, including for Officer Andres Valdez Lasso, who was a friend of Huesca's, and Huesca actually appearing in a video as a tribute to his life. So as I said, this is the first of a few processions that we will see. There's a procession that carries him down to Blake Lamb Funeral Home in the Oak Lawn area. There's usually a second procession on the day of services where his family is brought in. And then finally, there'll be a last day on the day of services before the funeral, where there's a large procession that usually includes hundreds, if not more than 1,000 vehicles that will travel from Blake Lamb Funeral Home to Officer Huesca's final resting place. So you can see the procession moving southbound here now on Western Avenue, just about to cross Roosevelt. They do rolling closures with the police departments out ahead. So basically Western Avenue is shut down for about the next mile or two in front of Roosevelt Road. And again, those rolling closures will move all the way down to 103rd Street before the procession moves westbound towards Blake Lamb Funeral Home in Oak Lawn.
And Mike, what else can you tell us just about the area, what's happening here, how many vehicles are involved in this, and if people are perhaps starting to begin to sort of notice what's going on, watching? What else can you tell us about this happening right now?
Well, this is the first of a few processions, and this is a smaller procession. What you'll see in later processions, and again, we just found out about this about a half an hour ago, and perhaps other people did as well. Now, in some of these processions, you'll see people out on the street. What you'll often see are fire departments on the corner, and here you can see, even though the street is closed here, as the procession goes south of Roosevelt Road, there are officers that are out saluting. Sometimes you'll see fire departments along the route of Western Avenue. They will come out, raise their tower ladders, two of them kind of in a cross, and usually drape the American flag down below. So a lot of officers out here paying respect, but at the same time, they have a job to do to secure the area. And again, this is a long stretch of Western Avenue that needs to be secured with those rolling closures. Right now, it's approaching about 18th Street, and again, will make its way all the way down to 103rd Street. That's when the Evergreen Park Police and the Oak Lawn Police will get involved as the procession goes from the southwest side of the city of Chicago into Evergreen Park and eventually to Oak Lawn to Blake Lamb Funeral Home. But again, there'll be a few processions. This one is smaller. I would estimate maybe a few dozen vehicles at this time. Later on, the processions will get bigger, with the largest procession, again, that we have seen cover maybe 2 or 3 miles with over hundreds and thousands of vehicles from police officers and people who knew Officer Huesca. We'll see that on the day of his final services, which what I imagine would be later this week.
Of course, we are still waiting for funeral arrangements and information regarding that. However, today we did learn that the officer's death will be considered in the line of duty. Stay with us here, Mike, but let's just take a moment to look at a tweet from the Chicago Police Department, who providing some more information about one of their own. It says, Police Officer Luis Huesca, end of watch, April 21st, 2024, on what would have been his 31st birthday. We are mourning the loss of Officer Huesca in the line of duty to the violence he worked to protect our city from. He will forever support his family and carry on his legacy of service and kindness. And as we take another look at the procession here, just a reminder and some background for those who perhaps don't remember the details of what happened over the weekend. ShotSpotter actually alerted authorities to the 5500 block of South Kedzie early Sunday morning, just before 3 o'clock in the morning. Officers found Huesca nearby in the 3100 block of West 56th near his home with multiple gunshot wounds. He was rushed to an area hospital where he was pronounced dead. Officer Huesca was in uniform at the time, but he did have a jacket on over it. Police do confirm he was on his way home after a shift at the time of the shooting. We also know his vehicle was taken, though police are still investigating, the circumstances here and what exactly happened. Officer Huesca worked in the 5th District. He was a 6-year veteran of the force, and as we've mentioned, today is his 31st birthday. And tragically, the shooting comes just 13 months after the death of another Chicago police officer, Andres Vasquez Lasso, who was shot and killed in March of 2021 responding to a domestic violence disturbance. Huesca was friends with Vasquez Lasso, and in a video released by CPD, paid tribute to his fallen colleague and friend. So just a horrible twist of fate here, and these two friends both shot and killed in the line of duty. Yesterday, police released surveillance footage and still images of a person of interest. Those photos and video taken in multiple locations, including a convenience store, the public asking for the public's help to find him. Let's get back to this procession. Where are we now, Mike? What's going on?
The procession traveling now southbound on Western Avenue here just south of Cermak will eventually make its way all the way down through the Stevenson Expressway. And again, they secure the area basically about a mile or two ahead of this. So it'll eventually move down just west of Brighton Park on Western. They'll probably shut down just for safety needs both Western Avenue and Western Boulevard. They run parallel to each other at that point. So that's where we are right now. They'll have to secure any area around the Stevenson Expressway. I know there are not ramps there at Western Avenue. There are some frontage roads where people get on and off. So you can see Western, by the way, the longest running street throughout the city of Chicago that runs all the way from the northern border of Chicago, from Evanston, all the way down to the southern border of Blue Island. So they stay on one street. That street is easily secured because, unfortunately, as we've mentioned with previous officers, this procession has been done before with previous officers that have been killed in the line of duty, where they take Western Avenue all the way down to Oak Lawn, and with the final destination being the Blake Lamb Funeral Home, which is located on 103rd Street, just east of Cicero Avenue in Oak Lawn. The procession making its way now south about 26th Street, and just in a matter of time will eventually cross the Stevenson Expressway. Looks like it's just done that at this point. So
we have several reporters on the ground working today to learn more about Officer Huesca, talking to those who knew him, and of course we are standing by to learn more about funeral arrangements for the officer. And Mike, as we were discussing earlier, there often are many processions to honor fallen officers over the days following the tragedy. This on the smaller side, but something that it seems came together last minute, perhaps to mark the officer's birthday, which would have been today. Nonetheless, a beautiful show of support, Mike.
It is, and again, it's one of several processions that we'll see here, but kind of as tragic as it is, there is a morose kind of beauty to all of this, as well as you see all of the police officers lining up and down the street. And again, as we showed you, as other officers who are not part of the procession, but they're in charge of closing off all of those east-west streets that go into, they stand at attention outside their car and salute that ambulance as it goes by on Western Avenue. That is something you'll see in large numbers as these processions get bigger later on in the week, where not only will you see the police officers who are paying homage to their fallen brother, but also you'll see the fire department out there, and a lot of citizens will get out on the street as well to pay respect to Officer Huesca, who lost his life tragically on Sunday night. And you can see right now they're kind of making its way under the area That's the Stevenson Expressway, and the procession making its way under the Stevenson Expressway. They'll have to stay at one point, at a point just south of here. You've got Western Avenue and Western Boulevard. They will stay on Western Avenue, make their way all the way down to 103rd Street.
All right, Mike Lorber in Sky 5 for us. Thank you so much for your reporting. Again, this procession heading to the Blake Lamb Funeral Home in Oak Lawn. We have a crew there, and we'll have more tonight coming up on the NBC5 News at 4. Thank you for joining us, and for now, we'll return you to regularly scheduled programming.